If you're wanting to learn double bass, but your left foot is slow and you don't have a double bass pedal, then today's lesson is for you. You can absolutely gain double kick skills without a double pedal, and I'd even argue this is the better way to do it. So whether or not double bass is your end goal, you do need left foot independence in order to really be a creative drummer with a unique voice, which I think is something we all want to be able to do. And so take action with me today on 3 simple foot exercises you can do without a double bass pedal, and will get you well on your way to playing double kick 16ths at 120 beats per minute. You can do this. Hey, welcome to The Non-Glamorous Drummer. I'm so glad you're hanging out today. I help self-taught beginner drummers know what to practice so that they can nail songs and become the drummer other people want to jam with and have in their band. And hey, if you're a drummer who is constricted to practicing on a pad, you're having to spend most of your practice time on a pad either because of noise constraints, that's a big one, maybe you live in an apartment, or you've got family close by, or you just don't have an acoustic kit yet, maybe you're just starting out. If that's you, you've got the practice pad, you're wanting to grow, but you're afraid you won't be able to grow quickly because you don't have an actual drum set, I've got a resource that's gonna help you out a bunch. Because here's the deal, you need a way to grow on your drum set skills on a pad and to grow consistently, even if you're in an apartment, you're practicing in your bedroom, dorm room, whatever. And so I've got a free e-guide for you. It's called the 30-minute pad practice routine for drummers without a drum set. And what this does, I spent a lot of time living in an apartment myself, and I found that there's just a few, 3 in particular, exercises you can practice on a pad that directly carry over to the full kit. And so this was what I did. I wasn't able to set up my drum set in my apartment, and so I practiced these strategic exercises on my pad, and I found that I could get to the rehearsal, get to the gig, and actually feel like, hey, I actually became a better drummer this week. It's funny how that can work. And so these are 3 powerful pad exercises that have helped me and my students the most, and I think they're really gonna help you out a lot and help you really grow in your drum set skills, even if you're stuck on a pad. So grab the free PDF guide, the 30-minute pad practice routine for drummers without a drum set, and it'll help you grow your skills away from the kit. And as we get into today's lesson, you know what, if you are having to practice without a drum set, if you're a total beginner and you're wanting to build coordination, you're actually in the right place today, because these things that we're doing, these foot exercises we're gonna do, you can absolutely get started on without a kit. You can tap your feet on the floor. We've even got a past video about this, how to build coordination away from the kit, because a lot of the coordination is, you know, very surface level. It's just about doing different things with different limbs, and you can practice this sitting in a chair. So even if you're away from your kit right now, you can follow along with me as we do this and test this stuff out. And then when you're able to get on a real kit, obviously that's ideal, and you can practice this further. But this whole thing's very interesting, because I really do believe that you can build more left foot coordination and do more when you're not just playing on a double bass pedal, but instead you're working with a kick drum on your right and a hi-hat on your left. So you're wanting to play double bass, but your left foot isn't capable. It's slow, like mine was. I've been there. And you don't have a double pedal. Well, what I've found with so many people, so many students, and this was definitely true for myself, was that the bigger issue with your left foot isn't a lack of strength, it's a lack of coordination. So I was trying really hard at getting good at double bass when I was in high school. Me and a buddy would jam along to metal songs. We were both kind of into Christian metal. There was a band called Disciple that we were super into. We were also into Skillet, not so much double bass with Skillet. August Burns Red, a lot of double bass stuff there. And so we were trying to learn some of those songs and fake our way through these crazy double bass things. He was, you know, playing guitar and I'm trying to play double bass, and it was just a mess. But I remember trying to do that in high school and ultimately just kind of failing at it, not really getting far with really being able to do much double bass. And then the funny thing was, I went years without touching a double bass pedal, and then a few years ago a company sent me a double pedal that was basically like a budget beginner pedal that's super sturdy and actually a good pedal. So I hooked it up to my kit and tested it out, and I realized, hey, I can kind of play some double bass. I'm not playing speed metal by any means. I'm not Thomas Lang here, but I can do this. I've got the basics of double bass down. I could figure out an August Burns Red song. This is kind of cool. So I found that I'd magically gotten better at double bass over the years without practicing double bass. And so this whole lesson today is about what I was practicing on the in-between time and what I've had students practice that led to actually being able to play double bass because of what I worked on with my left foot. And so kind of the whole thing about the issue being coordination and not strength, that's kind of a big underlying truth here, that when you keep that in mind, that means you can be working your left foot on the hi-hat, and that's going to directly play into your double bass abilities. And really, here's a good summation of where we're going today. if you practice incorporating your left foot on hi-hat into your groove as a creative voice, you'll not only gain the ability to play double bass, you'll also build even more left foot independence than you would otherwise practicing double bass. And I think practicing double bass exercises is kind of boring and it's just kind of head rattling. But when you're working your hi-hat, it's like it feels more like you're playing cool grooves and it's more musical. And so if you're like me, if you're in the place where I was a few years ago, it's not so much the metal drumming you want to get into, you feel like you want to have the ability to do it. This might be your pathway. This might be more fun and more fulfilling for you and feel a little bit more purposeful. So here's what we're doing. It's time to take action. You can do these along with me sitting in a chair, ideally sitting at your drum set, double bass pedal or no double bass pedal, but literally tapping your feet on the floor, you can do this stuff. We're going to do 3 different stickings with our feet, and then we're going to layer in some right hand and left hand to basically put these into groove context. These are super simple. This is not at all rocket surgery, as my college band director would always say. Super simple, but you know what? A lot of times the simple stuff is what gets you the results. That's what we're all about here at the Non-Glamorous Drummer. I could play you a whole bunch of flashy stuff that would be useless to you because you look at it and be like, I can't play that. It's going to take me forever to figure out how to play that. Then you give up. So that's not how we operate. That's not how we learn either. We start with basics. And so what I'm showing you today is very simple and achievable. Doesn't mean you're going to be, nailing this stuff in the next 10 minutes or even the next few days, but it's simple so you can grasp it, you can see exactly what I'm doing, and have a very clear end goal in mind so that a few weeks from now, a few months from now, you are nailing this and you are able to play some impressive double bass that you didn't think was possible before watching this lesson. That's my hope for you. So first thing we want to do, these are all slow tempos. We're going to play singles with our feet. Alternating singles, 16ths, it's 60 beats a minute. That means we're just doing this right here. Feels like we're playing like a little like country song or a bluegrass song or something. Boom, jump, boom, jump, boom, jump. That simple, but here's what's critical. Make sure that it's smooth going back and forth. We don't want to have or make sure it's super smooth. Boom, jun, 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 jun. And decide, we're not talking big into technique today, which is actually, believe it or not, it's not critical whether or not you're playing heel up or heel down. On my hi-hat, I'm going to be playing heel up because that's how I play on the hi-hat. If I were on a double bass pedal, I'd actually go heel down. Now I could kind of go either way. Same with right foot over here. You can go heel down or heel up. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whether you were heel up or heel down. The point is that you practice doing this. Over time, you will make either technique work for you as you grow in your skills. So back and forth singles, make sure they're smooth, work them up to 60 beats a minute. So I'm going to get the metronome in my ears here, see what 60 is. You can feel free to play along with me. If you need to pause the video to make sure you can get them nice and smooth first, go ahead, and then we'll up the tempo to 60 beats a minute, and then we'll start adding in the hands. But first, let's worry about just the feet. Here's what 60 will sound like. And by the way, know that you might need to practice that over and over and over again to get really solid at it before adding anything else to it. Repetition is so important in drumming, and foreshadowing, that's what we're going to be talking about in next week's lesson, the power of repetition in your playing. So loop this over and over again because it needs to start feeling second nature, autopilot, so you can just do this in your sleep. Once you can do it in your sleep, then we want to add in a couple of other things to basically put this into a groove context. Let's add in right hand eighth notes, matching the kick, because the kick's just playing eighth notes, right? So we're now doing with the right side of our body, so that's pretty easy. Then we're adding in back beats on the snare, beats 2 and 4 with the left hand. So really the challenge here is in left hand, left foot. If you're having trouble splitting your left foot apart from your left hand, that's a huge issue. If you're going to play double bass well, you've got to split those apart because most of the time, because of playing stuff right foot lead, you've got to play the left foot on off beats, but left hand is often hitting 2 and 4, not off beats. And so you've got to become okay with, and you can even spend some time practicing that if you want to, sitting here and going hand, hand, getting used to that. If left foot is used to going and playing with the hand, teach it to offset. Because what we want to now do is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. So we're layering all that together. Piece that together as slow as you need to. Here it goes at 60. And remember to practice that over and over and over again. Go even slower than 60. 60 is kind of our goal tempo, honestly. We're not trying to go super fast with this, though eventually you will get faster. Right now we're focusing on slow and precise. If you can't do it well slowly, you'll never do it well quickly. And so that's why I say 60. Start at 50 if you need to. Go even slower than that, or set your metronome to like 100 and do this as eighth notes instead of sixteenths. You do the math, whatever makes more sense to you. But once you've done that, move on to step 2. Our second sticking is doubles between the feet. Honestly, I think this is the weirdest one, even weirder than the third one we're gonna do. There's just something about it. And so go really slow, practice going. This is one where if you can do this with a kick pedal and a hi-hat, it's gonna be easier on a double bass pedal because it's so weird doing, you know, back-to-back sixteenths like that with a left foot on the hi-hat. Just because of the mechanics of a hi-hat, you can only play so fast. Versus with a bass drum pedal, you've got rebound helping you out, and so it's physically possible to play very fast. It's not physically possible to go, I mean, I guess you can, it just gets really weird and sloppy, and it's not really something we try to do often on the drums. So give yourself some grace there. Know that, okay, if you can pull this off with this setup right here, it's gonna be easier when you're on a double bass pedal. And that's just another reason why I think it's actually better to work on these skills on just a normal setup with no double bass pedal. So practice those slow doubles. Remember again, it doesn't matter if you're doing this heel down, heel up. We're not trying to use some fancy slide technique. None of that matters if you're not practicing this over and over and over again, building strength, because that's something we've talked about before. I've had students ask me about this, like is there a specific secret or technique I should use for playing fast stuff? Like, you know, is there like a foot slide or a foot skip? Maybe, yeah, there's nothing wrong. Like, none of those things are bad, and there's a lot of great techniques out there, but it doesn't matter what you use, and none of that will matter if you don't build strength. You have to have the physical strength that only happens with repetition over time. I have a personal trainer friend who actually confirmed this for me. He was like, you know, if you're wanting to get bigger, to build muscle, what's more important is reps, not the amount of weight you're lifting. And so the goal is not I know that was a little bit over the top crazy, but that's just an example of the way that your left foot can just become a part of the groove and improvise along with anything else. That's such a cool skill to have if you want to sound unique and interesting on the drums, because most drummers out there can't do that. But you can learn how to do this, and paradiddles are a great way to do it. I started practicing paradiddles with my feet years ago, and those are the things I started suddenly being able to do improvising on the drums, which was a lot of fun. So practice your paradiddles, go very slow first. By the way, if you hear a little bit of splashing there, that's fine. As you get faster, you're gonna hear that splash there. That's the nature of hi-hats. Unless you put a hand right here, you're always gonna have that. So don't worry about that, don't freak out about that. The chicks cannot be completely, clean, quiet chicks. There's gonna be splashing that happens as you go faster. It's just the way the hi-hats are. So just do the best you can there, don't worry about that. Get these going at 60, and then, as we've been doing, add in the right hand and the left hand too. This one can be a little bit mind-bending. It's just weird because your left hand now locks in with your left foot, but there's just weird stuff going on. And so practice it over and over and over again until it starts to feel a little bit less mind-bending. And that's how you get really comfortable and confident at this stuff. It's how you build a lot of coordination. And then kind of just our fourth step is up the tempo 1 to 2 beats per minute every day for the next couple of months. Remember, this is always a long-term game. The goal is not to get great at double bass this week. That's not going to happen. But when you work at this a little bit, you gradually work on upping the tempo over the next couple of months, you're going to improve a bunch. If you up the tempo 2 beats a minute every day for the next couple of weeks, that's going to be a lot. And then as you get faster, like once you get up to 80, 90 beats a minute, which is pretty quick, it starts to get pretty quick. There you might just go 1 beat per minute every day or every 2 days. But even at that point, if you maintain that, if you're able to keep that up, and gradually just consistently up the tempo just little by little every day, every couple of days, then that means in a few months you're going to be significantly faster with this. But the goal is not to see, how fast you can get in the next month or 3 months. The goal is to make progress. The goal is to move forward. And by setting some aggressive goals like that, that's only going to help push you forward even more, knowing that in 6 months, in 12 months, especially if you're getting out and you're playing a whole bunch, you're playing with people, you're playing 3-4 hour cover gigs, if you're playing songs for hours in your basement, those sorts of things only increase your foot strength and give you more reps, playing time. It's not even so important that you play these exact exercises every day. Just the fact that you're using your left foot, you're using your right foot, you're building strength, you're building coordination, and all of these things play into you being able to play double bass better months and years from now. That's exactly what happened to me. Now, a bonus thing, this is also helpful, and this is something else I did in those years in between double bass and coming back to it. Something else you can do, practice beater bounce singles with your left foot. So twist around on your kit, put your left foot on your pedal here. What I mean by beater bounce is just get a bounce motion going here. We don't want to bury the beater, we need to have a smooth motion going. This is a topic we cover in detail in another video. This is kind of a prerequisite skill. Make sure that you're bouncing the beater, instead of playing like this, that's going to wear your foot out, wear your leg out, wear your knee out. Don't do that. Instead, have a nice bounce. It works for soft, it works for loud. Practice beater bounce singles with your left foot. Sometimes 8s at around 100 beats a minute is a good starting point. Maybe 110. Practice doing these softly, also practice doing these loudly. So if we're going soft, guess what? Soft playing leads to control. George Lawrence Stone talks about it in the introduction to stick control. If you can do soft beater bounce 8s with your left foot, that's helping so much with your control. And it's even helping with your strength because you're teaching your foot to move in this steady motion. And so we're not playing loud, but it's still training your strength. Because again, it's all about the repetition and all the times doing this, not, you know, hammering something out and saying, can I get a burn going? Can I work as hard as I can for the next 30 seconds? That's not the goal. And even if it's not totally steady, it's fine, because the idea here is just to get your left foot moving. It's gonna get steadier, it's gonna get better. And then go a little louder. And so on. And so just get used to the feeling of doing that. If your left foot can get used to the feeling of the pedal, then hey, that's gonna help a whole bunch when you get on a double bass pedal. What really helped me a lot was playing on a lefty kit. What I used to do, I was teaching some local students, and I was set up in this space where we had 2 drum sets, and so I would set up a second kit mirroring them. It was just kick, snare, hats, but I'd be, you know, playing like this. I'd have my snare right here, hi-hats over here, and my left foot on the bass drum pedal. And so after a couple of years of playing along with students, you know, playing simple basic beats that they were learning, it kind of helped me remember how difficult it was, you know, first starting out. But my left foot quickly started to get better at, you know, playing different kick drum patterns and going so I got to where, okay, my left foot can play any kick drum pattern. No, it's not as comfortable as my right. Maybe it's not quite as strong, but it's definitely getting there, and that's definitely helping out a bunch. And so everything I just showed you, those 3 stickings, foot stickings, as well as doing this right here, or practicing on a lefty kit if you can do that, all of that worked together to help me out a bunch when I finally got on a double bass pedal years later. So, hey, if you do this, if you take action, you do this stuff, here's what will happen over the next 3 months, and especially over the following, you know, when you're thinking long term, here's what I think you can do in 3 months, honestly, if you practice this regularly, but also thinking 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, your left foot will get stronger and more coordinated without having to sit there hammering out double bass exercises. If you eventually get a double pedal and you want to hammer out double bass exercises, fine. But I think this stuff is more fun, honestly. You'll be able to play double bass 16ths at 120 in a few months. You'll be able to patiently work your way up there, and you will get there. You'll be able to keep time with your left foot, and it'll actually be able to be a creative, independent voice in your groove. You'll get very comfortable just doing standard timekeeping with your left foot, and you'll be able to change up that rhythm because you'll actually have a brain connection established with your left foot. And that's huge. So there's so many benefits and rewards you're gonna reap from practicing this. That's not just double bass, it's across the board: creativity, improvisation, coordination, comfort, all those good things that every drummer needs to have. So hey, question for you as you go: why do you want to learn double bass? The reason I ask you this question is because you don't have to play double bass to be a great drummer. Don't feel pressured into it. I know that I felt pressured into it when I was in high school because I saw, that's what you see on YouTube. Back in the early days of YouTube, I go onto YouTube as a young drummer figuring this stuff out. And you know, you see people with all the crazy flashy chops, and you automatically assume, well, if I can't do that, I'm not a real drummer. And so I always kind of thought, well, double bass is like a rite of passage. I've got to be able to do it. But I quickly realized, well, that's not the case, because all the music that I'm playing has no double bass, and I have no interest in metal. And so that could be you, where you felt like you ought to learn this, but maybe you have no real interest in heavy metal music or any kind of hard rock that involves double bass. If so, that's fine. And that's why I made this lesson, because you might enjoy working your left foot coordination and chops by practicing on the hi-hat like this. And I know I found that way more fun and fulfilling. And so I practiced all of this so that I could use my left foot more, so that I could actually take full advantage of all the instruments here on my drum set. And then it just happened that that carried over into double bass. And so maybe that's you. I don't want you to feel like you need to learn double bass just because the fastest, craziest drummers out there can. I think that's a totally different sport. that's a sport. Double bass, speed metal drumming is a sport that no drum set player has to learn unless they just want to. So know that you have my full permission to not learn double bass. But I want you to practice this stuff today to build the left foot coordination and find out how capable you actually are. Hey, be sure to grab that e-guide I told you about earlier. If you're having to spend a lot of time on a pad because you just can't make a lot of noise, those 3 pad exercises are going to help you out so much so that you feel like a more confident, comfortable drummer when you do get on the full kit. It's amazing what some simple things with your hands can really do for you. So be sure to check that out. It's totally free, total no-brainer. As always, thank you for watching. I hope this lesson has been valuable to you and helped you out a bunch. Stay non-glamorous. I'll see you on the next lesson. As always, you can do this.